look at the Korean Christianity, there are two key events that characterize the Korean Christianity. One is the persecution of Catholic Christianity in the early 19th century. And the second is the revival or renewal movement of the Protestant Christianity in the early 20th century. When we talk about Catholic Christianity was introduced to Korea in an unusual way. A Korean scholar went to Beijing to learn Catholic faith, and he got baptized there and returned to Korea in 1784. And he shared the Catholic faith among his friends, and then soon Catholic faith spread throughout the province and further in the country. But they soon faced persecution from the government. Starting from 1801, Korean Catholic community were experiencing a series of persecutions nearly for 6 decades. There was severe persecutions, and people were tortured and people were executed. So it's about several thousand people were martyred, and there was great difficulties and also the confusions. Here in this picture I've got, this is the 103 Korean martyrs who were recently beatified by the Catholic Church. So as you can see, there are some priests, but most of them were lay Christians, men and women. And it's very encouraging to see, or very moving to read their testimonies before their execution. So in the midst of persecutions and great difficulties, as it says in the letter of Jude, they were building themselves up in holy faith, and they were praying in the Holy Spirit, and they were keeping themselves in God's love, and also they were waiting for the God's mercy. Protestant Christianity was started in 1883, about 100 years after the introduction of the Catholic faith in the Korean Peninsula. The church grew, but within the church, there are lots of divisions, there are lots of infightings, envies, and many people were holding old behavior. So the lifestyle wasn't that changed. So there was kind of very difficulties in Korean Protestant churches. People saw a little difference from the non-Christians and Christians. But early 1900, Korean Protestant Christianity experienced a great sense of revival or renewal movement. That was started in Pyongyang in the church when an elder confessed his sins and his wrongdoings in the church. And he confessed, and also other people followed his example and confessed their sins and so on. So they were experiencing a great sense of outpouring of the Holy Spirit and the forgiveness. So there were a lot of crying and confessing their sins. That soon spread to the province and in the country. So there was a start of the great movement of revival in the Korean Protestant churches. So as in the book of Jude, they were they're building themselves up in holy faith, and they are praying in the Holy Spirit for renewal, and they were keeping themselves in God's love, and also they were waiting for the mercy of God and showing mercy to other people. So there was a great spread of the gospel and great revival in the Korean church. This is one of the examples of the revival meetings. This is the painting is done in the portraying 1938 in Seoul. There was a revival meeting, and people gathered together, and there were so many people. So church couldn't accommodate all of them. So they had to tear down the back wall in order to accommodate. So you can see the people are gathering outside of the church. So preacher preached. So this is one of the examples of the great revivals took place in Korea, and still this is the characteristics of Korean Protestant church. So as in the example of the Korean Christianity, you can see the message of the Jude, Jude's message of the warning for false teaching and misconduct, and also great encouragement for us to keep faith, our faith.